Did you know iconic foods from croissants to spaghetti had nothing to do with France or Italy? Today we're going on a food adventure to discover the surprising origins of some of the world's favorite treats. Get ready to be surprised by the hidden stories behind the food we love. Take a look at this croissant. This buttery, flaky, delicious masterpiece. You probably think it's as French as the Eiffel Tower, right? Wrong. This pastry, this icon of French baking, actually comes from Austria. Yep, you heard that right. The croissant, with its moon-like shape, is said to celebrate a victory over the Ottomans way back in the 1600s. The story goes that bakers in Vienna, those clever folks, made these pastries to look like the crescent moon on the Ottoman flag. Why? So that taking a bite of a pastry would mean you're eating the enemy. Now that's what I call a powerful breakfast. So, how did it end up in France? Well, it was Marie Antoinette, the Austrian princess who married King Louis XVI of France, who brought it along. She missed the taste of her homeland and introduced the croissant to the French court. And the rest, as they say, is history. Now, the croissant is a beloved staple in France and around the world. Spaghetti, carbonara, puttanesca, all those delicious stringy pasta dishes you think of when you think of Italy, well, they might have a secret ingredient. China. You heard me right. While everyone thinks Marco Polo brought noodles to Italy, the truth is a little more complex. While Arab traders probably brought certain forms of pasta to Sicily to begin with, it was Marco Polo's adventurous eating and his stories about the East that really got Italians excited about noodle forms specifically. Travelling the Silk Road, Polo encountered noodles in China and introduced a similar concept upon his return. Italy embraced pasta, evolving it into the iconic staple of Italian cuisine, with regional variations like spaghetti, fettuccine and more. Tempura, those crispy, light, deep-fried goodies, they just scream Japanese food, don't they? Well, hold on to your chopsticks because this dish has a secret Portuguese connection. The word tempura actually comes from the Latin word tempora, which refers to Lent, a time when Catholics don't eat meat. Portuguese missionaries, those food-loving explorers, brought this deep-fried goodness to Japan as a way to eat something delicious without meat during Lent. The Japanese, being the incredible cooks they are, took this Portuguese dish and made it even better. They perfected the batter, the frying technique, and created a whole symphony of seafood and vegetables, all coated in that golden, crispy perfection. Churros, those long, crispy, sugar-coated sticks of fried dough. You think they're as Spanish as bullfights, right? Well, get ready to be shocked because churros actually likely started their journey in Asia. The Chinese have been making amazing fried dough for centuries, and their youtiao, a savoury breakfast food, is the ancestor of our beloved churro. Indian jalebi, a fried sweet dough soaked in syrup, was introduced to the Middle East and Persia through the Mediterranean trade. Portuguese and Spanish traders encountered youtiao in China, and the sweeter version made it via the Islamic Empire to Spain during the Moorish period. When they returned, the Spanish, being the culinary geniuses they are, and particularly their shepherds, likely drew inspiration from this. Adding sugar and cinnamon, they created a flavour combination that is simply irresistible. And just like that, the churro was born, conquering taste buds from Spain to Mexico. Tomatoes, those juicy, bright red wonders, are like the heart and soul of Italian food, right? You can't imagine pizza without them, can you? Well, hold on to your pizza cutters because tomatoes aren't Italian at all. They're actually from the Americas, specifically Peru. When tomatoes first came to Europe after the Spanish colonization of the Americas, people were scared of them. They thought they were poisonous. Can you believe that? They even called them pomodoro, the golden apple, because they looked yellow initially. Wealthy Europeans used pewter plates, which contained high levels of lead. Acidic foods like tomatoes could leach lead from the plates, leading to lead poisoning. This created the false perception that tomatoes were toxic. It took the Italians, those brave food lovers, almost 200 years to finally try the tomato. And thank goodness they did, because can you imagine Italian food without them? It'd be like a car without wheels. It just wouldn't work. Swedish meatballs, those little balls of comfort food, covered in gravy and served with lingonberry sauce. They're as Swedish as, well, Sweden, right? Wrong. These little guys actually come from Turkey. It all started with King Charles XII of Sweden. After a little political trouble, he ended up in exile in the Ottoman Empire. Now, the Turkish people know how to make a good meatball, and their kofta, seasoned perfectly and served with creamy yogurt or fluffy rice, completely won over the Swedish king. He brought the recipe back to Sweden, and the rest, as they say, is history. The Swedish people, being the clever folks they are, added lingonberry jam and potatoes to the recipe, and voila, Swedish meatballs were born. Sauerkraut, that tangy, fermented cabbage that's a big part of German food. And kimchi, the spicy, pungent fermented cabbage that's a staple in Korean cuisine. Two completely different dishes, right? Well, think again. Because both of these fermented wonders spread along trade routes, particularly via the Silk Road. Fermentation as a method of preserving food has been practiced independently by various cultures for millennia. It was a way to keep food from spoiling, add flavor, and basically be culinary geniuses. These techniques then made their way to Korea and Germany, where people loved it. The Koreans added their signature spice with gochugaru, while the Germans went for a more mellow, tangy flavor. Chai, that warm, aromatic, spice-infused drink that makes you think of India. It's as Indian as Bollywood and yoga, right? Well, not exactly. The word chai simply means tea in Hindi. What we call chai tea is actually masala chai, a delicious mix of Indian spices and British tea. When the British East India Company came to India, they wanted to be the ones selling tea, not China. They started growing tea in India, and it wasn't long before they started enjoying the local style of tea. The Indian people, being the kind and welcoming people they are, started adding spices like cardamom, ginger and cloves to their tea, creating the flavorful drink we know and love today. So next time you're enjoying a cup of chai tea, remember, it's a delicious reminder of how different cultures can come together to create something amazing. So there you have it, a food adventure around the world uncovering the surprising origins of some of your favorite dishes. Who knew that food could be so full of surprises, right? It just goes to show you can't judge a dish by where you find it. If you enjoyed this culinary adventure and learned something new about the history of food, give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more delicious discoveries. And remember, next time you're sitting down to eat, take a moment to think about the incredible journey your food took to get to your plate. You never know what surprising stories you might uncover. Until next time, happy eating!